Hi Faraz, good morning or evening, night, everyone. I'm also home. My home is in Tenafly, New Jersey, which is outside of New York City, and I'm very happy to present today. One small correction, part of the Linux Foundation AI. Okay, so let's start. What we will talk about today. So basically today I will tell you a little bit about the Linux Foundation AI and data, and then I will jump into the Generative AI Commons, which is a group or an initiative within the Linux Foundation AI and data. We will talk about one of our projects, which is called the Model Openness Framework. And then I will jump into the definition of open source AI, which is something that is not defined yet. And I will conclude with a short debate, a global debate about shall we open source AI at all? So let's start. What is the Linux Foundation AI and data? Basically, we are a group or an umbrella project for all open source AI initiatives. We started that like 6 years ago. Back then, AI was way less popular than today, and we bring in all the stakeholders, all the relevant stakeholders that want to promote open source in AI. This is the structure of our organization, and when I say our organization, I'm a volunteer there. I don't work for Linux Foundation. I just a part of the activities. We basically have our governing board with the different committees. We have the technical coordination, which is under the Technical Advisory Council, and we have different working groups. And recently, in last September, we started the Generative AI Commons. And I will explain a little bit more about that organization in a few minutes. A little bit stats about the foundation. So as I mentioned, we started it 6 years ago in 2018. We currently have about 64 projects. It may have changed because every other week we bring more and more projects. We have more than 650 contributing organization, a lot of contribution. 57 of them are members. We produced more than 22 million lines of code. We have more than 100,000 contributors, individuals that contributed across the different projects. 30,000 of them contributed in the past year, so we call them active contributors. And overall, across the 64 projects, we have more than 250,000 GitHub stars. So pretty significant. Still a young foundation if we compare it to CNCF and some other umbrella projects at Linux Foundation AI, but growing very fast. I wanted to share a little bit about the project that we have here, so you can see the list here or a few logos. These are companies, some of the companies that are part of our activities or companies that are contributing and hosting projects within the Linux Foundation AI. And this is the interactive landscape that we have, where you can play with it. You can see the different projects. These are not only the Linux Foundation AI projects. These are basically most of the significant AI projects, open source projects in the world. And I will provide a QR code to this landscape that you can basically play with it. Let's jump now to the Generative AI Commons. As I mentioned, the Generative AI Commons is an organization that we started last September. We have over 200 active members contributing and participating across more than 80 organizations. And our goal mainly was to promote open source and open science in generative AI and promote responsible and trustworthy AI. Our activities are separated into or formed into 5 working groups. We have the applications working group, the models and data working group, framework, responsible AI, and education and outreach. Let me share a little bit more details about some of them. So the education and outreach, this is the one group that I'm leading. I'm chairing this working group. We work on thought leadership, whether it is for the developers community, the more technical community like yourself, as well as educating the general public about open source, about AI and generative AI, about the risks and opportunities. A lot of activities as part of the education and outreach committee or work stream. The responsible AI, this is a work stream that we started many, many years ago, even before we formed the Generative AI Commons. And basically, in the beginning, it was a little bit hard to hold meetings because there was a lot of interest around responsible AI and trusted AI. And basically, in the past year, the interest like skyrocketed, and now we moved from sometimes we can hold the meeting once a month to every other week we have a meeting, and we have a lot of interest from different organizations, different projects from academia coming in order to promote responsible AI or to learn from us about responsible AI. So a lot of activities there. I'm part of this committee since we started it, I think 2018, many years, and this is very important organization or work stream as well. And the last one that I want to mention is the frameworks. So the frameworks runs one of the most important projects that we have in the organization, which is the Model Openness Framework. And I would like to present this Model Openness Framework now. So we started the Model Openness Framework because there is a real question here. What is open? So what is open in general? What is open source? There is a lot of confusion in the market about the definition of open. And basically, we wanted to investigate into what is open and what is open in the specific special setting of AI, and come with an answer or with a framework that will allow the contributors of the models and the systems and the consumers to understand what they are getting, basically. So we went into a very deep investigation and analysis, and basically identified these components as part of an AI model or AI system. We divided those components into three categories: code, data, and documents. In the code, you can see the evaluation code, processing code, etc., etc. Data is the evaluation data, the data sets themselves, the weights and parameters, and you can see here all the information. And basically, what we did as part of the Model Openness Framework is to define what are the right licenses that either acceptable or preferred in order to define a specific component as open. We took all of that and we compiled it into 3 classes of openness. So on the bottom, we have class 3, open model, which I hope you can hear me. My mic was muted, I don't know why. So let me restart this slide. So basically, we defined 3 classes, 3 levels of openness. On the bottom class, the open model, we require open model architecture and model parameters and metadata. On the second level, the class 2, it's the open tooling, what we call the open tooling, and this requires everything on class 3. And on top of that, the training data, the inference, the training code and inference code, and evaluation code and data. And on the top scale or the top class, the open science, everything needs to be open. Basically, also the research paper, the data sets, and the data processing code. And basically what you see now is something that is still not officially launched. We are planning now to have we are building and will announce officially in June the tool that we've built that will allow the contributors of models to evaluate their models against these definitions. And basically, we will provide a badge that each model contributor can have as part of their distribution of the model. And just to give you a sense about this framework, so for example, Llama 3 is not even class 3, because the Llama 3 open source license is a proprietary license and it is not an official open source one. There are some models out there that are class 1, for example, Olmo, that came out from Allen Institute of AI, LLM 360, and some like Mistral and Phi can be classified into class 3. Let's move on. So this framework allows us to basically define different level of openness. However, we still, as I mentioned, we still don't have a definition of open source AI. So this is something that is not really defined yet. So open source initiative, or the OSI organization, is a global organization, non-for-profit organization that is basically defines open source licenses. This is a global organization that is active for many years, and basically all the licenses that we know, or basically defines all those licenses, and in the past year started an initiative to define open source AI. We believe, and I'm part of this initiative, we believe that open source AI as the definition has a global impact, and hence we need global input. We basically ran different working groups, workshops around the world. We have quite a large community of contributors that is coming from different parts of the society, different domains, and we are actively working on defining open source AI. The current version is 008, and which is a stable version already, and we are about to publish the results of this initiative in October. So until October, we don't really have a definition, but we will have soon. But the question is, why is it so complex to define open source AI? Why can't we just take the definition of open source software and that's it? And the answer, you saw part of the answer in the model openness framework components slide, but I would also want to present to you the 4 freedoms of open source software. The 4 freedoms are use. I should be able to use the code or whatever it is. I should be able to study it, to be able to really understand what is going on there, to modify it, and share it. So these are the 4 freedoms, and how do we apply this to AI? And if we add all those components associated with AI, it becomes even more challenging. So this is why this is very interesting and very complex topic. And basically, I want to touch one of the items and explain why it is complex and not straightforward. When I was asked, was introduced to this project of the OSI project of defining AI, open source AI, I was asked, okay, these are the 4 freedoms. What do you need in order to achieve those freedoms in terms of the core AI components? And I said, yeah, the data set, for example, the data sets that were used to train the model must be open. And then I thought, okay, maybe if we want to, if we restrict the open source AI definition to, or require the open source model to open their data sets as well, maybe we will not have many open source models, because the data sets are, in many cases, are proprietary. And this will eventually have a bad or negative impact on the open source movement. So there are some very debatable aspects here, and I invite you to become part of this initiative. We're in like advanced stages, but still want more contribution from the larger community. We hold bi-weekly town halls in one part of the world 1 week, and the other part of the world in the other week, all virtual, of course. We have an open forum that you can, or public forum that you can join, and basically become part of this initiative and be part of something that I personally believe is very important to us as a world. And I want to conclude my presentation with a short debate that is out there, or global debate, I would say. Should we even open source AI? And there are voices, and not just not just voices. These voices are pretty important voices, the AI godfathers as well, whether we should open source it or not. And I can show you very quickly the different opinions here. Before I conclude this presentation, I'm basically a part of the camp that believes that we should open source AI. I believe that this technology has maybe the most important impact on our society. So it has to be open, it has to be global. Yeah, with that, I would like to thank you and move to the Q&A session. Maybe just before we do that, I will show you a few QR codes. So if you want to be part of the Generative AI Commons, we have here let me just a sec. We have here the Generative AI Commons. Oh, just a sec. Okay, on the top left, we have the Generative AI Commons website. Top middle, the Getting Started guide if you want to join. AI landscape, the interactive landscape that I showed earlier with all the logos of all the projects on the top right. Bottom left, we have the OSI forum. This is the forum that I just mentioned, defining the open source AI. The model openness framework on the bottom, middle bottom. And over there is a document that, an open document, Google document that you can provide your input. And on the bottom right, this is my LinkedIn. You are very welcome to connect with me. And if you want more data, if you don't find yourself within the other links here, please connect with me, and I would be happy to help you to become part of this initiative. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Ofer, for that intriguing presentation and for sharing that framework. We have some time for some Q&A. And I do see a couple of questions in the chat. And those of you are asking if this recording and the slides will be shared. We will be sharing this after the summit. So a couple of questions for you. So you'd mentioned some of the ways for folks to get involved with you. And you mentioned that you have about 200 active members. You've got 80 different companies. So how technical someone needs to be able to take part?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So as I mentioned, we have different, and I'm now talking about the Generative AI Commons. This is the organization as part of the Linux Foundation AI. And this is true also for the other organization, the OSI. We want the perspective of the technical community, and we also need and want the perspective of the non-technical community. Everyone is invited. The Linux Foundation AI or the Generative AI Commons, you are welcome if you are part of an organization, but you are also welcome if you are not part of an organization. When we started the Linux Foundation AI in 2018-17, I was representing an organization, a company, but now I'm not. I'm an IC, I would call it, as part or individual contributor, not part of a company, not like an official member, but still I believe I create a lot of impact as part of my activity. So everyone is welcome. Please join us. We would love to see more contribution. We need more technical contribution as well. So this community is perfect to join us.
That's perfect. Well, thank you so much. I do have a question in the chat from Adi. It's asking, in responsible AI, does that include ethical usage of AI?
Yes. So as part of responsible AI, we defined a very large set of aspects that we are working on. And basically, as I mentioned, this is an open source community. So if someone is coming with a specific desire or wants to promote a specific topic, they are very welcome. So whatever the community is willing to work on, it becomes part of our activities if it's relevant. And yes, this is part of the responsible AI. We have many different aspects associated with responsible AI. And I can maybe after this I will share some more info in the chat about this specific committee and or work stream, and I will I'll look for it for the definition of what responsible AI is in these settings, in the Generative AI Commons settings.
Absolutely. Yep, that will be very helpful for the community. So just going back to your framework, there is a follow-up question as to why not just make responsible usage guidelines that's just going to be part of the framework.
So actually, the model openness framework, one of the limitations, or not the limitations, but one of the decisions that we made as part of the model openness framework is to basically take outside everything that is responsible AI. But we are building a similar framework as part of the Linux Foundation AI or the Generative AI Commons, part of the Responsible AI Working Group, a Responsible AI framework. And this framework will take into account all those aspects associated with responsible AI. So it's a separate item. We wanted to separate the openness from this part.
Makes sense. And then how does federated learning fit in this definition of open source?
That's an interesting question. I don't think that there is a specific basically, it's kind of the same. So if you learn in different locations, I don't think it's like or from different data sets. I don't think it has any specific difference. I don't see the difference, but whoever asked the questions or this question, please connect with me and let's chat about it. Maybe I'm missing something.